Hello everyone. I thought I'd make this video to discuss the foldable landscape and to really talk about like what potentially is the best design. Now, I've eliminated the Galaxy Z Fold 6 design and before that the 5, the 4 because obviously Samsung has made the decision that the form factor of thin, light, and essentially the size of a regular size phone, slab phone, is the way to go. The sacrifice is that the battery life is relatively weak compared to, for example, the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold. But this is it's much more comfortable, and this is kind of the mainstream approach they've decided to take. And I think that's one way to do it for sure, absolutely. Personally, I still miss, and I will miss because I'm going to be trading this in, the passport design. I think this is the best design. It's the most natural in terms of just landscape mode. So just in terms of the actual feel in the hand, the outer screen being just, I think, enough. It's not huge, but it's just enough. And then the inner screen being obviously the more natural kind of tablet sort of feel, right? It's a little shorter, it's a little wider, and it kind of, feels like an iPad mini or an iPad in general, even a Samsung tablet. So to me, this is the best design. And the in-between is kind of like what Google's done with the 10 Pro Fold. This is akin to the OnePlus Open as design as well. It's kind of in the in-between space. It's a little bit shorter than just slightly shorter than the Z Fold 7. It's a little bit wider than the Z Fold 7. It's obviously thicker. Google has opted to not sacrifice battery life necessarily. And there's a 600 milliamp larger battery in the 10 Pro Fold than there is in the Z Fold 7, which has a 4400 milliamp hour battery, and you can definitely feel it in the battery life. I'm getting, again, as I mentioned in a previous video, I'm getting the same battery life here as I'm getting here. As a matter of fact, I might get slightly better battery life here with the software updates in the original Pixel Fold. I've had to consistently top off the Z Fold 7, when I use it as my main phone, by 3, 4 in the afternoon. And that's pretty consistent. I'm, moderate to heavy user depending upon my work days and what I'm doing with the phone. And yeah, this has been a little bit weak in terms of battery. But the form factor is amazing. If there's a way to, squeeze the battery, a bigger battery in here, I think that would be great. The other issue I think that I personally have with the Z Fold 7 that I'm not a huge fan of is the square design. It's a little bit, it's just not quite as conducive to, like, for example, and I don't play a lot of games, but like maybe watching a movie or playing games. Like I feel like the square boxy design, unless I'm watching like some old cool and old school like 80s videos, or Michael Jordan and the Bulls from back in the day on YouTube, that fits perfectly in this phone. So if that's kind of your jam, then that's fine. I kind of have the same issue with the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold, although not quite as much. I feel like it's a little bit more conducive to some of the wider screen, but not much, because if you actually open them up, you kind of put them together, it's slightly wider, maybe, but not really that much wider, as you can see here, right? It's not, and it's a more square boxy design versus kind of the more kind of rounded corners. So I personally, wow, they really get stuck there. There's a magnet in there. They're attracted to each other a little bit too much there. Enjoying each other's company a little too much. This kind of feels a little more natural, although it's relatively similar in terms of the boxiness. But again, the more natural feel, I think, is the original Fold. The passport design, I think, is just, for me, where it's at. If they could make this thinner, with getting the IP68 down, the hinge protection, and lighter, and still stuff a nice battery in there, I'm okay with the thickness if they're gonna create a bigger battery situation. The thinness is amazing, it's wonderful, and it's really sleek and it looks nice. But honestly, in terms of practicality and usability, if you're a relatively light to moderate user, then this might be fine for you. But the 10 Pro Fold has the best. That for me, practically speaking, it just lasts, and you need it to last if you're not near a charger. If you're near a charger, then you have nothing to worry about. But yeah, I kind of just noticed more in terms of just feeling the hand. This feels a little more natural, at least for me. I have bare mitts, so I don't know if that will be different. If you have maybe delicate piano fingers, this might be the way to go because it is a little longer and it is very thin. I've mentioned this in a couple other videos. This has slipped out of my hand just from the thinness more than I think any phone I've used ever, because it's so thin, and it's also kind of long. So I think that's, for me, the form factor is a little bit, while it's wonderful when you open it up and it's really nice and thin, it's a little bit, it's taking a little bit to get to, a little bit getting used to, I should say. I think, this form factor is perfectly fine as well, but I just feel like the Passport design is just a more natural tablet feel overall. Yeah, so, and then, the battery, excuse me, the camera bumps, right? So both of these have really huge camera bumps. I think this is a much more natural feel and flow. Again, that's probably due to the thicker design. If they can make it, thick and have the proper battery in there and make it a little bit maybe lighter at the same time, I'm not sure if that's possible, but they're smart engineer folks can figure it out. I think that might be the way to go. But yeah, I'm curious to know like what your feelings are about it. If you want to make any comments below, I think for me personally, if they could kind of blend these all together in some kind of way where we get the thinness and the lightness here, we get the battery slam champ here, slam that battery in there, and get the Passport design, that would be for me an ideal kind of foldable, because again, I do prefer this. It's just it's for some reason they went in a different direction, and I'm curious to know if outside the US, obviously there are phones that match this Passport kind of feel to it, but I'm curious to know if Apple takes this up. Based on the rumors, it seems like that's kind of the direction they're going in again, but who knows. All right, well, I just thought I'd make this video comparing the three. I think, I'm curious to know how, those of you who've had these phones, curious to know how you feel about the designs. I do notice that a lot of content creators that are focused on foldables do still kind of have a soft spot in their heart for the original Fold because of the design, as do I. All right, well, hope you're well, hope your family's well, and take care of yourself. See you next time. Bye.